Well, thank you all for attending today. You're probably glad I came because there were already two speakers who didn't show up, so that would have been bad. So my name is Mina Mukhar. I'm glad to be here today. I'm the founding president of Mars Initiative, and for my day job, though, I work for KPMG, which is the fourth largest accounting firm in the world, where I specialize in the automation of manual business processes for specifically Fortune 500 companies. I create systems like internal, external audit systems, financial accounting close systems, knowledge management systems, that kind of thing. And then all the free time that I don't have, I help to try to lead Mars Initiative forward. Luckily, I have a team of highly skilled volunteers, but we'll come back to those folks here in a little while. Meanwhile, I'd like to just kind of jump over to today's agenda. I didn't add animation to that, so that was interesting. So today's agenda, what we'll do is we've already kind of given my introduction. So I would kind of go to you all to get a real quick introduction, maybe 4 people or so. And then we'll quickly talk about passion and motivation and what the status quo is. How did Mars Initiative start? What is Mars Initiative? Who is Mars Initiative? And then quick what-if scenario. And then some goal alignment and how do we specifically unite our goals and our missions and our passions. What are first steps? What are next steps? And then we'll open it up to you all for FAQ. So for the introductions, I figured we could have, so it's supposed to be 4 groups of people, but I guess I was anticipating the room to be a little larger, but I think 4 people could just stand up and tell us your name and affiliated company, what their specialty is, why specifically did you come to the Mars Society, and why did you choose to come to this track specifically? So, anybody want to go first? That's always the hardest step.
My name is Nick Smith. I work for a company called Weatherford Laboratories. We do core sample analysis for the oil industry. I love Mars and Mars Society. I believe in the colonization and exploration, the manned exploration of Mars. And I am in this presentation because I've heard him last year. I loved it, and also because I've been voluntold to run this room.
Great. Great. All right. 3 more people. Thank you, Nick.
Okay. I'm not here, no. My name is Larry Jesse. I've been to these meetings for about 4, 5, 6 years. I lose count. Every time I think it's 5 years, it's probably 10. That shows my age. Anyhow, let's see. I worked at NASA headquarters, retired NASA. I've got a space flight center, teach professor of astronomy, physics at community college in Maryland. And this has been along with my photography and so on, this has been how can I say, I guess I'll use the word, maybe many people use the word passion. My frustration, I want to see these events occur, and it's very frustrating to watch how the powers that be have pushed things aside for too long a time. But I'm not leading the country, so there's not much I can do about it now. Anyhow, I just hope to see, I see there are a lot of very, very intelligent, very motivated people, not only in the Mars Society itself, but people that are interested in helping and working things out. And it's a young group now, which again, it's good. There are people that pick up to do the work, for the future. And it's very, very innovative and very interesting. So thank you for letting me say a few words.
Great, that's helpful. Yeah, you hit on actually some of the things I'm going to talk about. So that's perfect. Go ahead.
My name is Catherine Callahan. Astronomy was my first love as a child, astronomy and mathematics. Although I ended up a professor of linguistics at Ohio State University, specializing in Central California Indian languages. But I've retained my interest in the sciences, in astronomy, in the unity of the human race, the belief that we should go out to other planets, Mars being the logical first step, and I am fascinated by the unity of purpose and the welcome of the Mars Society. That's why I'm here.
Beautiful. It's hard to say it any better. Okay, one more person. Anybody else?
I'll just do it because I'll stand out. Okay, so I'm Daniel, and I'm a college student actually. I'm an air traffic control major and pilot, but I'm trying to get into systems engineering because I'm realizing that I'm focusing more on the competitions that I get myself into than the actual classwork that I registered for. So my specialty is I really like designing. I'm a big ideas kind of person. I like organizing and planning, and I realized that that discipline is where it's all at. That's the glue that keeps these projects together. So I really want to be part of that. And why am I at this convention? Because it's my first one. I've been trying to come here for like the last 3 years now, and I finally found time this summer. And that also I considered, after reading all the news this year, that 2014 is a kind of a pivoting point. Everyone is saying, everyone's making commitments across the world to invest in Mars and to begin building for it, construct launch vehicles, planning, analog stations, Mars One, it's building interest. And why am I here at this presentation? Because that title itself has that kind of notion with it, that bringing people together to bring projects forward.
Great.
Cool.
Well, we definitely all seem to have more here too. We're here for the same reasons, and a lot of the things and the commonalities that you all brought up is kind of what we're going to go into. So with that, I have a couple more questions this time, just for anybody about anybody dream of space and space exploration when they were a kid, and what happened. I guess you all still do dream about it, and that's why you're here. But it seems like a lot of people have had the dream, but have somehow forgotten about it. Not you all per se, but a lot of people in society. They might have said, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut," but they might not be good at math or science, and so they kind of got weeded out. So, tell me a little bit about the dreams, and specifically around space exploration that you all had as a child.
Well, personally, after when I was 17, I was brought forward. I came with my parents to a conference or like a seminar on suborbital space flight. And I always knew that space flight was a thing, NASA and books, books about space exploration in like 40 years from now going to Mars. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty cool thing. But when I heard about suborbital space flight, that, there's Virgin Galactic and there's Export Aerospace and there's Blue Origin. And then you realize that these opportunities are literally around the corner. It's like, oh wow, you see, I don't have to go around the Earth, but I can still go into space, and that's literally in less than 5 years. And if you put your heart into it, you eventually get there. So, and even at a young age, I see that instead of this 30-year commitment, it could happen in 5 years.
Right.
Assuming you play the right cards, it could happen in less than 5 years.
People unite.
Yes, people unite.
Yes. Hey, sure. Go ahead.
I was young with Star Trek, of course, and the landing on the moon, staying up all night, watching that for 36 hours. Being a young kid, that was a big deal. Mommy let me stay up. And, but I dreamt for years about being an astronaut, and I would dream of being on the moon. My dreams would be of the moon, being on the moon in an environment. So it's just, because it was so much part of our lives. Hollywood provided a lot of imagery too back then, whereas now it's cop shows.
Right. What happened? We're going backwards. Exactly. So I grew up on 7 acres in the middle of the country, and this was a place where you could see the stars, and you don't have the light pollution, and things are, it's a perfect environment for kids to dream. And so I used to sit on the roof at night for hours and just look at the stars and wonder, what are the questions of the unknown? What are all of the answers? What is the future going to look like? What is it all going to? What is are we going to get specifically spaceships, and are they going to be as common as airplanes are today when I was young? So I was hoping to see that when I was little. I was also hoping to see space hotels and the ability to have a vacation on a space hotel, take a vacation to the moon, basically be able to get friends together and do space exploration like Christopher Columbus on a spaceship that you could possibly buy, like a car. But here I am, 32, and we don't seem to be getting there yet as quickly. And boy, before I know it, it seems like life might pass by and we're going to miss out on all the things it could be. So that was kind of that. And it seems like, we all have common goals here, and that's kind of the basis behind what this is all about. But I'll get into more of that later. So to more of a segue, I got a couple points on that. We have none of that, none of what we are dreaming for, so there's plenty of opportunity. We all seem to want it. There's so many people who seem to want it, but we all have to somehow unite, and that's the hardest part. You have so many different Mars organizations, you have so many space exploration organizations. They all have their own separate interests. They have their research and development that they are looking to get fundraising for. At the end of the year, the budget is gone and they have no money, but they're still doing their research and development, which is good. But that's not necessarily a financial plan. You kind of need a financial plan. We don't even have flying cars like we thought we could have, or I did, or hoverboards like Back to the Future. And from the Jetsons, I think the closest to Rosie is the Roomba. I read it the other day. But I think the biggest thing is, the manual processes that we go through. And like I said, that's what I do at work. If there's a manual process, something that we do over and over again, there's a way to automate it usually with technology or with something. And so why can't we get up in the morning and just simply press a button and then we have our eggs ready and our bacon, however we like it, and then it cleans itself. It doesn't even need to be an entire robot, but And I think the reason why we possibly don't have that is because we are stuck on Earth. Because making eggs in the morning, if you're in space or in Mars, would be a little more difficult if you're there. So we're forced to think outside the box. It's not as convenient anymore to make the eggs. So technologies grow. So with that, if humans were on Mars, I think that we would just be forced to automate these simple repetitive tasks and think about these different things, and we would have more solutions for technological innovation. And I think a good example of that is the Ansari X Prize with the private spaceship. That was, this, I don't know, probably everybody here knows all about the X Prize, but just for those of you who don't, we had the first one was the goal to do this private spaceship capable of carrying 3 people, fly 2 times within 2 weeks, with the objective of opening up Space Frontier. And so the result of it was a $10 million prize that sparked investment of $100 million in new technologies. I mean, that's huge. You offer a $10 million prize and you have $100 million of investment. I mean, that's a big impact. So that's that. So again, we could go to how did Mars mission start? So we already talked about this. How did we begin? Okay, so 11 years ago, when I was an undergrad at SMU, Zubrin came to speak. And he spoke about his plan, the Mars Direct, and boy, it was the greatest thing that I heard for a long time, because that meant all my childhood dreams were going to come true. We had a plan. We were able to do it with existing technology. Beautiful, so I didn't have to think about it anymore. I just went back to business school and went to classes and did what I needed to do. And then what happened? 8 years later, when I got to grad school, 2011, Zubrin comes to talk to the planetarium, ETA in Dallas. And after the end of it, I asked him, I said, this is great, this is a good plan and all, but do we have a finance plan for it? What's going on with it? And his answer was that there was no finance plan. And so I about fell out of my chair and wondered, what have we been doing for the last 8 years? And so basically he said he was relying on government politics. So, which is right, it's what he's been pushing, right, government politics. Now, that was really concerning for me because I was like, oh boy, we're never going to get off this earth, we're going to be stuck there forever. Because, so I have a BA in political science and a BA in public policy in undergrad. And so, you know, with politics, you have one administration in power, and they have objectives, they have goals, and what happens? They have all these out. What?
They get voted out. And
They get voted out, yeah, and they have the big plan that got them there, and okay, well, it's easy to say you have a 10-year plan, but if your term is only 5 years, well, okay, there goes that. So, and you know, with anything big like going to Mars, what do you need a long period of time, you have to have some people to support that terms. So anyway, a lot of politics in that. So anyway, again, I was a little disturbed, and so I spoke with Zubrin and said, you know, what about this idea of what we're doing? And I guess I should jump into what is Mars Initiative. So, what is Mars Initiative? Here we have some piggies. It's really a piggy bank. It's a public piggy bank. It's the Mars Financial Plan, as I call it. It's not a comprehensive plan, a financial plan like most people would know it. It's more of a Mars Prize Fund, kind of like the X Prize, but I'm sure, you know, X Prize has 20 other X Prizes going on, so getting them interested in Mars might be a little difficult. So we started this, and the idea is that it's, again, the public's piggy bank. So if you have, where the number one value is transparency. So, like I said, I come from an internal, external audit and investigation forensic accounting background, so that's a lot of reason why people don't like to donate money. It's because they're worried, well, where's my dollar go? So what we do is unique. I haven't seen anybody do this yet, but we publish our bank statements online. And we redact all of the account number except for the last 4 digits, but we show the file name, we have somebody that uploads it, basically puts all the data there, and we have another dashboard that charts it. So you can see all the money that comes in stays in. We don't spend it anywhere. All operations are virtually minimized. There's no operational cost, and if there is, it's something a little like hosting fees. So, and that's usually donated to. Actually, most of these services and the entire thing that we have going on here is all donated. So that's really that, and what we are. So what is Mars Initiative? We are a piggy bank. To ensure, it's the only, to me, it's the only surety that I have that kind of guarantees that we're going to eventually get there. The question is, how quickly can we get it to grow? So, put together a little what-if scenario. So, well, before we get there, let me ask this question. So, when it comes to space and space exploration, and you all said that you had the passion for it. We all have the same goal. So, would anybody say that, or would everybody in the room agree that it's reasonable to put $2 a month or $5 a month into a fund that grows where nobody makes any money and the money's not going to go anywhere, it can't go anywhere? Does anybody say that they wouldn't do it? Is it a bad idea?
I am on one of your back.
Oh, you are? Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Yes. So we currently have 32, I believe, monthly subscribers. And so you're one of them. That's great. So the question is, if this is the general idea, what are the odds that there are at least 1 million other people out there who would do the same thing? I mean, $2 or $5 is a pretty nominal amount per month to ensure that this happens. And if the goal is to really get to 10 million or, I mean, okay, maybe 20 million or whatever it might be, then we might actually get somewhere. You know, if we look at the track record of X Prize with the 10 million, getting and sparking the $100 million of investment. So I put a little what-if scenario in. Yeah.
I think a half decent idea, and I was trying to present this earlier, and I wasn't able to get my question out. But you know about DeviantArt?
Yes.
Yes.
So okay, so there was one for a game called Eve, and in a nutshell, that artists had to put in money to get their admission to compete in this competition to design the new ships for their expansion pack. And that brought in tens of thousands of artists submitting ships and also submitting about $15. to have their design submitted and evaluated by CCP, who is the creator of this game.
What's interesting about that, there are many situations you hear about like that, the crowdfunding sites, you have this idea and you have a lot of people that put money together, next thing you know, they have, a lot of $1 million accumulated. So that's very interesting to see that that's starting to happen.
Yeah, I have a firm belief that since there's a lot of art, there's a lot of artist technicality when it comes. I'm just going to put DeviantArt in the spotlight. Is that anytime I go there to like look at art or to see people's drawings, that they're very technical. Anyone that has, if you put down technical drawing, these things are off the scale. I'm wondering if they're engineers or are they not, and why aren't they? Kind of mentality. And you put up more initiatives of new designs or something, new design submissions, and that kind of competition. You'd see consistent submitters, or even you'd see a lot of popularity in it.
Yep, and I agree, and that's kind of why we started to do this, with the principle of transparency and allowing people to do this. And what the key is, the money that comes in stays in. And so recently we got a arrangement going where we would pay 0 merchant fees. So every single dollar that comes in, 100% of it's going to stay in, and no more is going to go to merchant fees. So that's something new that will be coming very shortly. So we're just trying to formalize that agreement. So just a quick what-if scenario. We have here, scenario 1 is if we're looking at $2 versus scenario 2 with $5. If we were able to get 250,000 subscribers with $2 a month, versus 500,000, and then the million that I just said, if we have 1 million people, putting $2 a month, where's my something? There we go. So this is over a 10-year period, 10% compound interest, think of a low-risk index fund or something like that. Now we're looking at $110 million for just 250 people. Now if we jump to 1 million, that's 440 million. I mean, the math seems to make sense. Now, if you go to scenario 2, it's a lot more aggressive because it's a little higher in dollars. But if you have 250,000 people, then you're going to have, after 10 years, 270 million. And I think the cost to go to Mars was, what was it? It started out at like 20 billion, I think was the estimate, and that was by NASA. Then private enterprise started coming in, and they ended up driving the number down. I think the cheapest I saw was 2 billion. Everybody agree? Yeah. Okay. So with that, I mean, that takes a good chunk of that return on investment of whoever's trying to do that. So that's actually the first point of what I forgot to say about the prize fund. The prize fund balance would go to the first entity that successfully lands a human on Mars. So it's a prize fund. So first entity that does it, they'll get it. We have a whole page of rules listed for who would get the prize and what conditions must be applied. We had to make that formal. I think we got that from the last meeting. That was what the audience said at the last Mars Society meeting. Was we need these rules to be formalized and publicized, so that was the first thing we did out of that meeting. So based on the math, that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're thinking. So who is the Mars Initiative? Quickly run through that because I guess we're running through time. We're short on time. I guess we should go back to a couple slides.
You have 8 minutes.
8 minutes, okay.
You're going backwards.
Yep.
Okay.
The slides are a little out of order. So, board of directors, we have me, Stephen Bassett, executive director, Gary Stevenson, and then in an effort to collaborate, we have Bruce McKenzie with Mars Foundation and Frank Stratford with Mars Drive. The idea here is that I was trying to build, at the very beginning, a board of directors where we could get everybody from every major Mars collaboration or space exploration team together, so we can do this and use the networks to do that. But it seems to be a little harder than expected to do that. But nevertheless, it seems to be slowly working. Executive committee, these are the folks who help us run the day-to-day operations. We have Lee, she deals with helping us find new talent. Nikki deals with our CPA, she deals with their accounting. Dwayne, social media, and then David Heaney with media relations. Then we have our board of advisors. So we just recently put together the board of advisors. The idea was to give the organization some more credibility. And this advice came from Bass with Mars One. He said, I guess the biggest reason why he's successful is he found a very good advisor first, and then the advisor sat on the board, and next thing you know, you got another good high-powered advisor, and that started giving him the publicity and credibility necessary. So we took his advice and started building this a couple months ago. So we found John Brophy, NASA JPL propulsion expert, former SpaceX lead mission operation engineer Daniel. I guess he was, as I understand it, responsible for getting the International Space Station to dock with the ship. And then we have Jason Rand, who's public media relations advisor, helps us with that image. And the marketing committee with all of our digital media, trying to get our word out. And we have this ambassador program that we're doing, where we have 12 representatives as ambassadors, representing 8 countries. So that is the team. That's who we are. If we didn't have animation, we'd be able to hit where we want to go. Okay, we're almost there. Bing, bing, bing. We got who? Goal line. Okay. So to finish up here. So I think we need to plan strategically and collaborate, which is what a lot of you all said. So what are first steps to this? So we're thinking joint initiative between Mars Initiative and the Mars Society. Okay. And so let me back up to the story of what happened when Zubrin was at UTA Planetarium, and I told him afterwards about the financial plan. Why don't we have this financial plan? What can we do? And he basically said that once we get formalized, he said, go ahead and set up the Mars Initiative, get formalized, get some money in the account, get everything going, and then I'll jump on board. So what we'd like to ask is if you all like what you see here today, somebody go back and talk to him, just tell him that you like the idea. Because we're going to approach him and we're going to ask him to do so again. And hopefully he'll this time say, yeah, okay, we're formalized enough for him to jump on board. Because I think it's, how do you run a Mars Initiative if you don't even have a Mars Society on board? We're asked that all the time. And so I asked Zubrin, I said, how am I supposed to deal with this? And he said, just say what I just said. He asked us to be formalized, and then he'll jump on board. So with that, again, if you like what you see, tell him that. So that when we come to him, he'll know that his supporting organization will be on board. So next steps after that is the good one. So we're thinking after the Mars Initiative, Mars Society partnership, the subscriber base will increase significantly. Once we get something like 100 or either 50 or 100 monthly subscribers to the public fund, we're told that we would have a newsworthy story for mainstream media to pick it up. And of course, if that ever happened, then as what happened when we did a major press release once, the numbers skyrocketed from I think 5 subscribers to 30. And getting these newsworthy stories out to large audiences is the hardest thing. And once that happens, the numbers are going to just jump up. That's been the single most success factor that I've been able to see is when you issue a press release and it goes to a lot of people, the subscribing base goes up tremendously. So that's part of the plan. If we get Mars Society on board and our subscriber base jumps to 50 to 100 subscribers, we have a newsworthy story, that would be a good news release, press release. Then, once the base goes up, then the money will start coming in. And then we can go after large corporate sponsorships. We get a couple of those on board, big names, maybe Boeing, Lockheed, something like that. Whether it's 15 or 10,000, whatever it might be. So as long as they are able to put their name behind it. Okay. So then, after that, we want to get a greater mix of advisors, maybe a former NASA administrator or some other high-profile advisor. And then after that, we'd like to target the celebrity endorsement, get 1 or 2 folks. Actually, Neil deGrasse Tyson would be perfect. He's the guy I would like to have on board. Because, when he speaks, people listen, and if that happened, I think we're going to Mars. That'd be my thought. So I think, that's our strategy, that's our plan, that's what we're thinking. And I think if we accomplish it in those steps, we're on our way to Mars, and our piggy bank will grow huge, and then some entity will finally get us there. End of story. So that's our plan. Does anyone have any questions? I see I'm out of time.
We'll do 3 questions.
3 questions? Okay, sure.
You're kind of replacing government charity with private charity. I mean, I love the idea, it's great, but rather than asking the government for money, you're now asking the public.
Who needs them?
Yeah, who needs government, right?
Yeah, that's
Zimmer's
fine.
been asking for the government for a long time.
But I mean, it's still asking rather than putting a financial plan forward. I mean, have you considered maybe giving financial advice or trying to promote? I haven't seen the rules, but are there stepping stone prizes before Mars? Are they like the ones on Coast of Mars?
We thought about that. Now, actually, our first idea was to put together like a Gantt chart where you have use all existing technologies and you're able to match them all up with the actual vendors, and you put together the plan, and then you say, you know, they're able to specify what those quotes are to do the various milestones. And what we're thinking about doing is at the beginning, put this together and allow the public to see it, make it transparent, allow people to say, okay, well, I'm a company and I'm able to do this segment of it cheaper. So we were thinking of doing that as a starting point. And then so we had that kind of posted up, and now somebody else has started to do that, and that's what I'm glad we didn't go that route, because that wasn't actually what our focus was. Our focus was really to do this, because that route was way too complicated, because I'm not a technical guy, I'm more of a finance guy.
Who was the people that were doing that?
That's Mars One. That's what they're doing. Yeah, in a way, somewhat similar.
So if the government went to Mars, would you then offer them the prize money?
Yes, that's a good question. And so we made that in the rules that if that happened, then yes.
You might see smaller countries start participating.
Right.
There's prize funds involved.
That's true. Yeah. And because see, my objective is that I don't care who gets us there. Let's just go. Right. Humans on Mars, that's the number one objective. Can you imagine the hype that would be around it? Everybody would be watching TV, and I think that's where Mars One is looking to do the reality TV show. Any other questions? I think we got one. Yeah.
There's a really good book that I have not finished, but it's called The Tipping Point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you might pick it up secondhand or something. It'll get to that phrase where you said the world catches the trend. It kind of focuses on that, when the world's going to catch the trend, how to get there, and there's some issues about timing in there. But I haven't finished the book, so I can't highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, it's a good book. I read segments of it.
Okay.
Tipping Point.
That's okay, you're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it's a sociology book, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, The Tipping Point. Yep. All right, I guess we're good. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone.